Hello Jurassic fans, this is the 6th and final episode of Mini-Muerta. For the final section of this park, you guys voted for a secret hybrid facility. Before I get into building that, I wanted to recap what I built in the other episodes, starting with episode 1, where I built this entrance to the park and guest section, followed with the Tyrannosaurus Rex exhibit over to the left. For the second episode, I built an herbivore valley with a zip line going across and some guest amenities as well as attractions surrounding the area. For episode 3, I built a swamp with some feathered dinosaurs. For episode 4, I built this whole section of the park dedicated to large theropod carnivores. And for episode 5, I built a VIP exclusive guest section as well as this petting zoo. For the hybrid facility, I'm going to be building it back here behind where these amenities are, next to the carnivore section of the park. I started by flattening everything out and then lining the shore with this heavy fencing. I felt like the heavy fence from Jurassic Park kind of fit the vibe of the secret hybrid facility the best, so that's the one that I used. I just kind of lined this whole area. It's sort of a wonky shape, but I did the best I could with the amount of space I had left. It'll look fine in the end, just trust the process. This didn't seem secure enough for hybrid carnivores, so I decided to double layer the fencing using the concrete fence instead, just to give it some added security and add to the aesthetics. I also added gates to this little box section to provide sort of like a separate holding point for the dinosaurs, separate from their actual enclosure. That way, in case the scientists needed to do any sort of medical work on the dinosaurs or scientific reasons, they'd have a place to hold them. I messed around with the paintbrushes to add some different textures to the ground so the enclosure didn't seem so bland and boring. I switched between grass, dirt, and rocks. I feel like that gave it a pretty good variation between terrain, and I felt comfortable with that. I also added a spot for water and, of course, some food. My main goal for this entire build is to kind of ensure that it looks like the animals are treated in the most poor conditions as possible, given the small size of the enclosure as well as the lack of live food. This is really just a holding cell for the hybrid dinosaurs so that they can experiment on them and do research, kind of like they don't treat them like they're real animals and instead like they're just some sort of scientific project. I feel like adding different types of decorative cages added to the poor treatment sort of look. I added lots of those to the enclosure to make it seem like the scientists had been consistently experimenting on different types of dinosaurs, and I like how it kind of pulled the entire scene together. I also added several of these watchtowers in different locations around the exhibit to kind of emphasize the over-security of this whole little holding facility. And of course, I also added floodlights and cameras, just because those are more security items. I feel like the exhibit was still too bland, so I added rocks to the corners to try and add just a little bit more texture, and I like how it turned out, especially the way that they matched the color of the ground. After that, I just needed to surround the area with trees to ensure it was pretty much hidden from the naked eye. Obviously, the owner of this facility wants to keep it far away from prying eyes, so I wanted to ensure that the foliage was very dense. That pretty much sums up the main part of this build, and now all that was left was really just to transport the hybrids into the exhibit. I added the Lux skin to both of these dinosaurs because I feel like that's a pretty cool modification. And I feel like it adds to the lore of why the dinosaurs are in this facility in the first place. But with that being said, there's not really much more to do to this exhibit, which means it's basically complete. And that wraps up this series as a whole. Thank you to everybody who's been supporting me and following along with this series. I hope you've all enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. And stay tuned for more videos like this in the future. I will be making more series where I build parts of a map episode by episode. I'll also be making other dinosaur related content, so if you like this type of stuff, please consider subscribing. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.